This is Revelations.Unveiled.Detroit. Super Predators of Hate, Part 5, The Conclusion. At their 10-year reunion, Jackson's classmates decided to hold a Quaker meeting for worship. There in the meeting house Harris used to attend with them, the young professionals wondered if there were warning signs they didn't see, or if the school's progressivism had somehow helped push Jackson towards violence. There's clearly something that was missing from our high school or our experience that didn't allow him to speak about these feelings sooner, one friend's graduate said. Raines, Jackson's former history teacher, who now works at another private school, which said he brought up the case this fall during an assembly. The virulence of white supremacy should not be ignored. You see these trends, these forces resurging, he said. You need to take action if you can. Jackson's family declined to speak at length for the article, but nearly 3 years after New York police first knocked at their door, his mother looked no less bewildered as she tried to explain what her middle child had done. Right now, there's a photo on our fridge showing our son in Afghanistan standing next to an African-American colleague, Pat Jackson said as she gestured over her shoulder toward the kitchen. Whatever racism he harbored, she said, was in his head or on his computer until he lost his mind. She and her husband have gone to visit him several times in prison in upstate New York, where the progressive suburban couple found themselves surrounded by prisoners with swastika tattoos. Harris didn't seem to belong there, and yet he did. He calls this the afterlife, she said, of everything since the crime. It's kind of an afterlife for them too. Not long after his arrest, she recalled, she received her regular copy of the Southern Poverty Law Center's magazine, The Intelligence Report, in the mail. I opened it and saw my son looking demonic. Looking, she said, trailing off shortly before closing the door. That's not my son. Hello, family, and thank you so much for visiting and sharing with me in this series, Super Predators of Hate. And so, it was an excellent series, a review of a New York Times article where we were exposed to the young gentleman, James Harris Jackson, as he went on his escapade to start a race war and kill black men. So, what we found out and what came about as a result of the article review is we looked at some variables, we looked at some concepts, we reviewed the details of an individual who at the end of a indoctrination or a radicalization went about and committed heinous and violent acts of hate with an intent of instigating further conflict amid society. And so, family, this article came about to buttress or to give an expanded parody of some of the headline coverage with some of these groups that society or some of the authoritative policing agencies regard as groups of hate or nationalist or supremacist groups. One being recently the Hebrew Israelites. So I did a review, or I did a broadcast of what are Hebrew Israelites. And so I wanted to put myself in front to just show a regular, basic, young, so-called black man who, through the course of study and review of the holy history and text, have come to an understanding of the true identity of myself and my forefathers, ancestors, bloodline, etc. I'm a Hebrew Israelite, Hebrew being the ancient language, Israelite being the nation from whence we originally are from. So, in this article, Mr. Jackson outlined some traumas that he went through, some abuse he was submitted to, and in that trauma, I think reaching out for help to get that demonic application off of his soul, he sought or was looking for outreach to recompense, to bring solace and peace to himself. And as a result, being in that fragile sense, he traveled down a path of hatred, stigmatization, of stereotype. And so we see here how, for the most part, across various lines of society, ethnicity, a trauma experience manifests in many forms. This being a illustration of an extreme form of a trauma experienced. And on top of that trauma, you put in the racist theologies, the acts of other characters of society who committed similar acts, manifestos, feelings of inadequacy. You put all these variables together and you get a demonic stew. And even the mother of the gentleman couldn't recognize her own son due to this possession or this spiritual overtake that beset him and sent him forth to assault innocent people with the intent of creating anarchy in society. And so, family, this article is bigger than how it's framed the hunting of black men. It is a soul search, a manifestation, a cry for help of an individual who was dealing with a core trauma, a core injury. And from that, his attempt at reconciling that evil within, it began to grow as an evil without. And so this was where we expanded, understanding some psychological principles, some reviews of the vulnerabilities of persons in society. And so, in a sense, we get to see some of the spiritual dynamics we all deal with in the various pains that we have absorbed as we have been sojourning on earth. And so, not so much as it now points a finger at a particular group of people or persons, but it's a review of spirits It's a review of how we handle the negativity that occurs and that we process on a daily basis within our journeys um, on here on earth, within our carnal existence. So this series will expand where we will continue to increase our understanding of some psychological principles that manifest some actions, some inner spiritual examination. So this was a wonderful opportunity to explore not only the acts of an individual who was consumed in a dynamic of desperation. We get to turn the mirror on ourselves and look at how we have managed and maintained within our own mentalities as we try on a day-to-day basis to stay on the path of righteousness so we can ourselves be right and ready and hopefully eligible for the coming kingdom. So fam, thank you for visiting and reviewing these episodes. Please like, share, and subscribe. And please, there are support links in the description box if you so feel inclined. I thank you. I love you. I love you. I love you. This is your humble Hebrew brother visiting Revelations.Unveiled.Detroit here at the conclusion of the Super Predators of Hate article. And so we shall return to continue with our expansion, our extension, our expounding into the excellence of eternity. So until we are together again, you know the rest. Have a beautiful evening. Be good and do good.